And welcome in to the Cardinals Sports Hub STL Postgame Show, once again brought to you by Hot Shots, who invites you to come out to their St. Charles location on Sunday, June 1st, to celebrate their 35th anniversary, 35 years. Yes, the fun starts at noon with a parking lot party featuring the Budweiser Clydesdales. Prizes will be given away, and there's a dart tournament at noon, bags at 2, plus a chance to win Hot Shots tacos for a year. Once again, congratulations to our partners at Hot Shots on 35 years. The home for all games all the time since 1990. Find yours at hotshots.net. Welcome in. I'm Sara Dayley alongside Ethan Hannaford. The Cardinals rolling down 70 into KC with a big victory for the opener of the series. A final score there, 10-3. Now without a couple little bloopers, I guess, but it didn't really impact the final score. The Birds' bats came alive. Their pitching came together. This is the team we want to see, the team we want to continue to see. But a couple of questions, Jordan Walker, a couple of things we still have to tackle. But Ethan, your thoughts overall on this team tonight?
Hey, there's only so much complaining you can do with an effort tonight like the Cardinals had. I mean, the infectious play that we have seen over the past, several weeks, but specifically within the last, 12 games continues. I mean, this team is playing its best right now. And I mean, even if this team continues playing at a solid rate, we're going to look back at, this could be the stretch that we look back on by year's end and say, okay, if this team makes the playoffs, it was because of this stretch where they were able to win, 11 of 12, 9 straight at one point. That's a big run. And you don't find a lot of teams in baseball, the best teams in baseball, playing and having success by year's end without going through at some point in the season a stretch like this. So the Cardinals are doing things the right way. They're playing with consistency in a lot of facets, regardless of the result on the field. That's been something they've shown all year. And for an extremely young squad, they're playing a very mature brand of baseball. And I think that is a very promising thing for the future of Cardinals baseball here in St. Louis.
So we'll get to a couple of the tweaks or things that we may want to look at here in a second. As M. Guild Design said, what's up with Nato? We got to tackle the Walker situation, but let's look at some of the pros. So hitting with runners in scoring position was key. We had 2 outs in a lot of situations tonight. We capitalized on those. They showcased the offense that we know they've had the potential to be. 10 runs on 13 hits. Key contributors, Herrera drove in 4 runs. Contreras finally starting to be the player we know he can be, because at the beginning of the season, man, everyone was down and out. Everybody was. It was just like, what? It's just a matter of time. But he was in a major slump at the beginning. So we're starting things turn around. So hitting with runners in scoring position and scoring with 2 outs, a lot of key plays tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what this team has been able to do in 2025 compared to last year. I mean, last year, the kryptonites for this team were very clear. The biggest one by far being their inability to hit with runners in scoring position, to be able to hit with the bases loaded, as well as, and kind of tallied with that, but not entirely correlated. But when you're the heart of your order and your superstars, Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, aren't doing what they're being paid to do, that's a pretty big miss as well. The Cardinals have been getting contributions from practically everyone in this lineup, 1 through 9. Very consistently, and they are hitting with runners in scoring position at a very good point right now. You look at last year. I mean, I'm taking a look here at the numbers. The Cardinals were 27th in baseball as far as batting average with runners in scoring position go, 229, and they had a 644 OPS. That was 28th in baseball. This year, they're top 10 in both batting average and OPS, 264 average and a 757 OPS. They're even better with the bases loaded this year. They were even worse last year with the bases loaded than they were with runners in scoring position in general. Last year, 188 batting average and a 570 OPS. This year, they're batting prior to tonight, and they had another big hit tonight with the bases loaded, 355. That is 6th in baseball, and 889 OPS is 10th in baseball. So the numbers are backing that the Cardinals are hitting with runners in scoring position. And you talk about being able to have the big inning, which the Cardinals were able to once again do tonight. The Cardinals have been able to win in multiple ways, but the big inning is something that is important, to be able to string together hits extra base hits is a huge brand of the game. It's something that really lacked for St. Louis last year. We know the pitching was the bullpen specifically last year was exceptional. That carried them to a lot of wins. The lineup was very subpar last year. That is not the case this year. Things have balanced out very much so for this team. The lineup is deep. You mentioned the contributions that they're getting right now from Wilson Contreras, who has been quite literally in the last 25 games a top 10 hitter in baseball. All of his stats, batting average, OPS, OPS plus, they all back that he is a top 10 hitter the last 25 games in baseball. And then there are quite literally not words to say for what Ivan Herrera is doing right now. It's a small sample size still. It's only been 12 games this year. But what I'm most encouraged by is that it doesn't look like he has even skipped a beat following coming off of the injured list. It's been the exact same player. The power is there. He's been hitting the ball so hard to the gaps right now. He looks so comfortable at the plate. I can't remember the last time that the Cardinals had a right-handed hitter that I felt this optimistic about. He is just a pure hitter. I was talking with Ricky Horton about this just yesterday. He said he's a top 3 pure hitter on this Cardinals roster right now. And that's and being able to say that is one thing, right, based off of the small sample size. But when you're getting to look at these guys as much as you are, I think that that's pretty telling, hearing that from a guy like Ricky. So there's a lot of excitement around this club. But, the ability to hit with runners in scoring position, to be able to finish off opportunities, not constantly leaving runners on base, and extending out the lineup. I mean, I said it earlier, it is close to 1 through 9 right now, Sarah. And, I mean, you're going to find that when you're hitting as consistently as this lineup is top to bottom, you're going to have a hard time beating this team when they hit as well as they are right now.
It's an exciting game, and we knew there was potential. We said this all along. It was just a matter of putting everything together in the right aspect and not having people on with tweaks or injuries or things of that nature. But Pushing Daisy's joining us, talking about being the first game of the series. Doesn't want to take away credit from the boys, but they did just play better and figure them out. Or did KC just not play well tonight? Well, Kansas City also does have one of the lowest ERAs in the game. They have a good pitching staff, so that could have been the case. But the Cards bats and the pitching combination came together even after the balk call, which was a little up in the air about that. Palante collectively got himself together. Herrera calmed him down, told him to just slow your pace, and that could be something, because that's not a call you see all the time, right? And especially a major league level, like, you're going to be like, what are you talking about? The wind was coming out of the field. They were talking about the weather earlier, how windy it was. Ricky was talking about that in pregame, and maybe it moved his jersey, whatever. Controversial call. Either way, it did put a run across the plate, and taking control back of the game and getting things back in line pretty quickly was a good potential point for him.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this comment from Pushing Daisies, I mean, the Cardinals scored 10 runs tonight. So, I mean, did they get a little bit of help with the bobble from Jonathan India that loaded the bases up for Herrera? Yes, but Ivan Herrera still had to hit a bases clearing double to left center field. Andre Palante put up 7 innings of 2-run ball tonight. The defense was solid once again. So, I mean, yeah, you could argue that the Royals helped them in a couple of different moments in the game, but part of any sport, any game, is who's going to make less mistakes. And the Cardinals were the team that overall it felt like played cleaner tonight. At least I would say that the moments that they weren't clean, or there were kind of some freak situations, they already had a lead to where, they didn't allow that to affect them. The Palante balk was definitely interesting. It was a balk. The umpires did make the right call. There was a runner on third, and sometimes you'll see guys switch back to the windup from the stretch when there's a runner on third, but you have to communicate it to the umpire. Palante did not do that, and as a result, the balk was called. You said it. Pajes did a great job of getting him collected, because he did look frustrated. But regardless, him being able to come back out, part of me wondered if that would be it for him after, he got out of the inning, but it wasn't his sharpest inning. Part of me wondered if that would be it. He came out and he threw 2 more innings of what I would argue were his best innings thrown of the night, in the 6th and the 7th. That's pretty telling about the maturity level that we're seeing from Andre Palante. We know he's had some bits and stretches here early in the year where he hasn't looked his best, but he continues to fight. He continues to grind out. I wouldn't even necessarily say that Andre Palante had his best stuff tonight, but what he did do is he limited damage. he limited the big inning. The Royals were 0 for 9 against him with runners in scoring position tonight. That is a huge stat. And this is also a Royals team that is doesn't hit the ball on the ground a lot. They hit the ball on the ground the fourth least in baseball. And we all know that Andre Palante, as a ground ball hitter, he leads the league in ground ball rate this year. So you kind of wondered going in, was this going to be a game that was played the way that the Royals wanted it to be played at the plate, or the way that Andre Palante was used to playing? And Andre Palante won that battle tonight. So kudos to him for that. And you said it as well. This Royals pitching staff has one of the best, not only team ERAs in baseball, but also bullpen ERAs in baseball. Did they catch a little bit of a break getting Cole Reagans out earlier in the game than initially planned? Yes, he got pulled after 5+. There was a runner on base, but hadn't recorded an out yet in the 6th inning due to groin tightness. So you never like to see a player have to exit with an injury, but the Cardinals had gotten to him up to that point as well. 5 innings of 3-run ball at that point off of Reagans. You'll take that any day against one of the better starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. The Cardinals continue to hit solid pitching this year well. And one of those runs in the 6th gets charged to him. So he ends up the final line being 5 innings of 4 earned run ball. I will happily take that any night of the week. And but like I said, it's not just the team ERA. The bullpen ERA is the 6th best in baseball this year, and the Cardinals jumped on them very quickly following Reagan's exit. And it kind of felt like that 6th inning was pivotal. It goes from being a 3-2 game to a 7-2 game following an inning of work. But you're in a situation, right, where there's potentially going to be runners at the corners with 2 outs. And all of a sudden, it is a bases loaded situation. And going back to being able to hit with runners in scoring position, the very fair opportunity that last year they don't come through in that situation. They're able to do so, and it kind of felt like if you don't get that big inning right there, if Ivan Herrera doesn't come through in that situation, maybe we're looking at a different result in this game. But the Cardinals were able to do so. So the Royals definitely made some mistakes, and I'm sure they're looking back and saying, well, this point, that point were turning points. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals were the team that ended up putting 10 runs on the board, and Andre Palante threw 7 innings of 2-run ball. So I know a long answer to the question there from Pushing Daisies, but I think the Cardinals very much so earned this win, and it was in a similar style that we've seen them win games here of recent.
Well, Ethan, all the situations you just mentioned, I think just even out of the gate this season, that wasn't something we could be confident the Cardinals were going to respond to. I mean, we had many double-digit games where we lost in extra innings. Our bullpen couldn't come through. Our starters didn't go deep. We had a lot of issues with the rotation. And now you're looking at most of these starters consistently giving 5, 6, 7 innings. They're allowing the bullpen to rest, to come through when they need to. We're putting people in the right places. If we need a mid-reliever or someone to go a few extra innings, we can. I feel like it's all falling into place. So that's the good point. A couple of, like we mentioned, Royals defensive miscues were a little costly tonight. Not the end of the world. Their bullpen struggled a bit. They do collectively have a good team ERA, but Mason Wynn is continuing to have an impact tonight, or rather on the season. Tonight, a couple bobbles that, weren't like really the greatest of plays. Brendan Donovan saying that freaking line drive that smoked him, dropped it, couldn't make the play. But again, these are still stopping and contributing points where I think it's key to see what these guys are really putting out there emotionally. A lot of investment goes into where you're going out to a game and hoping you can put something together, worth knowing you can put something together. There's a big difference when you're just praying for a win and struggling and going through loss after loss after loss, and then having the confidence to go out there and put together a series win and then come home and be confident with what you're doing out there on the field.
Yeah, and this team right now is playing with all the confidence in the world. And to be quite frank, they were playing with a lot of confidence even before the 9-game win streak. I mean, it has been a consistent product. The work and the prep that this team has been putting in prior to games has remained consistent regardless of the on-field result. And that's why I said at the beginning of the post-game show how impressive the maturity that this young team is showing right now is. And I think that a lot of that has to do with, some of the older guys that are in there, like Nolan Arenado and like Sonny Gray are, the example that they set. But the young guys are turning that into their own. And I think that clubhouse is just as much theirs as it is, the veterans as well. I feel like they have the opportunity to be able to speak and have a voice while giving those guys the respect that they deserve. That's a really big thing. I don't know if it's necessarily been like that the last couple of years. So the confidence is showing in a lot of different ways. And, even back to when this team was 14-19, I mean, the product was still consistent as far as the work being put in, the preparation. And even when you look back at the bad stretches of the first 45 games of 2025, how many games can you really say that the Cardinals have been out of come the final out of the game? Right? That they haven't had an opportunity to be right in it. I mean, it's only it's only a handful of games really that you can say that St. Louis has lost, that you've said like they weren't in it. This team is fighting and battling until the end. They don't take at-bats off. They don't take innings off. And I think that is the result of a team that knows what is expected of them by the coaching staff, but also that they expect of themselves. Very mature for a young squad. Very mature.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Well, we're going to look at the schedule ahead and the pitching matchups for tomorrow and what the Cardinals face with the rest of the series against the Royals. But baseball season is officially underway, and it's time to step up to the plate with your DraftKings Pick 6. In case you did not know, think of DraftKings Pick 6 as your fastball right down the middle. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Pick 6 is available in most states, including California, Texas, Georgia, Missouri, and more.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
So the matchup tomorrow after the Cardinals take tonight by a final score of 10-3. Game 2 of the I-70 series against the Royals, of course, an infamous matchup, the Missouri matchup. With 1985, the team being honored tonight before tonight's game, the Don Denkinger call, and the 4-game win streak. Also, as we were talking before the game, the first series that was played all evening game. So kind of a quick little fun fact there. I did not know that. I did not think about that until it was mentioned tonight. So I was kind of intrigued by that, but kind of just a little fun thought there, Ethan.
Yeah. And isn't it just a little bit sweeter, right? That on the night that they're celebrating the 85 team, which they did on purpose. That's a normal thing in baseball, right? When, rub it in their face a little bit. I get it. But isn't it a little bit sweeter that the way that the Cardinals lost that series, you come in tonight and you say, you know what, we're not going to take this crap. We're going to rub it in your face. We're going to spoil your little reunion you got going on. We're going to beat you by a touchdown and set ourselves up for, going for a series win the next couple of days. Listen, it's all love. The Royals it is refreshing to see these two teams for the first time in a long time, both playing good baseball at the same time. Right. Kansas City is off to a great start. St. Louis obviously has turned things around in the right direction of late. And so it's refreshing to see this rivalry actually play some meaningful games, because it feels like it's been a very long time since that's been the case.
And it's always nice to hear Ricky, on the call and be a part of that team.
Yeah.
Other great guys. Whitey Ball is always a huge infamous era for the Birds. So it's always a good time to revisit some of those days. But tomorrow, Miles Mikolas going 2 from 2, 4.35 earned run average. What are your thoughts on how this game's going to set up? Because now the Birds and the Royals are pretty much even keeled when it comes to what their record is. I would say their talent. Of course, the Birds didn't start off that way, but they're starting to prove their point like we've been discussing. But now we really have to take this series and come home and continue to go on the win streak.
Yeah, Miles Mikolas has been a pleasant surprise this year for the Cardinals, in large part. You mentioned the 4.35 ERA, but if you exclude the 1 start in Boston on Sunday Night Baseball, which it's still a start they made, but the ERA is more around like 2.6. Which is that's pretty telling that in large part Miles Mikolas has been even better than like the final line numbers show. Can we expect that the entire season? I don't think so. right? But something in between, right? What we've got in the past couple of years and what it is right now, I'd be very happy with, right? He's your 5-starter. The expectations are low. So the fact that you're getting consistency from 1 through 5 in this rotation right now is encouraging. And the Cardinals originally were expected to face off against Seth Lugo tomorrow. And unfortunately for him, he's going to miss that start due to, I think, an issue with a finger, I believe is what it is, hyperextended a finger or something like that. And that's a guy that's off to a great start this year as well, was very good last year. So the Cardinals catching a little bit of a break right now, listed as TBD who's going to start that game. So I'm not sure if they're going to call someone up or if it's going to be a bullpen start. They'll be interesting. But with the Cardinals winning tonight, they have most definitely set themselves up in the driver's seat for this upcoming series and being able to take another series win on the road. And let me just add another stat too. I mentioned that throughout the year, the Cardinals have been competing in ball games and staying close in ball games. On this road trip where the Cardinals are 6-1, the run differential, they said it at the end of the broadcast tonight, plus 31 on this road trip in 7 games. So it's not like the Cardinals are just squeezing out wins. Yes, 6 of those wins on the road came against Pittsburgh and Washington, and you expect to win those games. But the Cardinals are also beating teams with authority, right? It's not just squeezing by like we saw was an issue last year where it felt like you had to fight to the death for every single freaking win. That hasn't been the case as of late, and that's encouraging, seeing that the offense is able to perform on nights when you're getting pitching as well, and you're not having to lean as heavily right now on those guys later at the latter end of the bullpen, like Ryan Helsley, like Phil Maton, Jojo Romero, Kyle Leahy. You're getting guys like Matt Swanson and Gordon Graceffo, John King that are getting opportunities to stay fresh as well, which is important as well to have those guys stay fresh. So just another little tidbit for you. It's not just that the Cardinals are winning games; it's the way that they're winning games right now.
Yeah, and Graceffo, it's good to see how well he's doing out there. That's a good plus and a good addition. If we fast forward just a little bit, though, say the Cardinals take the series, sweep here, but then they have Detroit. And that's going to be a big challenge for the Birds. I mean, I know they'll be home, but what is your thoughts on how we're going to tackle that team, whether Kansas City aside, just approach it as a whole, because collectively they're going to be the true challenge for the Birds. And I think that for fans, if this Kansas City series goes well and then Detroit goes somewhat well, just a little bit, there's going to be a lot of believers that are officially back on the bandwagon, so to speak. And back at Busch and back supporting the team and back to where they want to see the Cardinals organization as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, the more you do this, the more trust you're going to earn within the fan base. There's no doubt about that. Detroit is coming in red hot. They have a great rotation led by Trick Skubal. Jack Flaherty's been excellent this year. Javi Baez has resurrected his career this season. It's a strong team. It's a strong team. There's no doubt about that. But they're kind of, at the same time, they're kind of quiet, right? They're not super flashy. They don't have the crazy payroll. They're doing it in a way that feels like the Cardinals of old, right? Like a Milwaukee, a better recent example would be like a Milwaukee Brewers. That's kind of how they're winning games right now, how their team is set up. But I'll just say this, as far as, can the Cardinals, that's going to be the big test. I mean, hey, the Cardinals are coming off of a series win against Philadelphia. I mean, just a couple of series ago, they won a series against the Mets. So it's not like the Cardinals are doing this all against bad competition. The Cardinals are winning against good teams right now. And the message stays the same. Keep the approach the same. Keep doing what you're doing, that's been working. And if you keep playing the way that you have, getting starting pitching to go deep, be efficient, setting your bullpen up for success, and the lineup continues to have the same approach, then they're going to be doing fine. The Brant Brown and the hitting staff has been excellent as far as building a game plan against these different pitchers on a night in, night out basis. That the way that they've been able to hit good pitching, Brant Brown and Packy Elkins and the hitting staff has a huge role in that, because they're setting their guys up for success. Enough cannot be said for how well the coaching staff is doing with this young team right now. But yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a certain thing that you do differently, Sarah. I have no doubt that it is a big one as far as the fan base goes. The more that you continue to beat these solid teams, the more trust you're going to earn. But what you're doing right now is working, and you're beating good teams, you're beating bad teams. Why change anything when things are working?
Right. Don't fix what's not broken. Right.
Yeah, amen to that.
Space says on here, he still wants to see him pick up one more ace this offseason, give Matthews some more time to cook. The Gray contract ends after 26. That's looking way ahead. I think we just need to get through the season right now, but they're talking about starting rotations and what our future holds. I mean, yeah, that's a good thing to look forward to, but let's just get through like a winning season and capitalize off what not 2025 was and grow from there. But just a couple of thoughts on that. I mean, there's so many options that can go right there as far as, just what the Cardinals can do. I mean, that could be a whole show in itself as far as options, who to look at, who's going to be available, who we can trade or get rid of. But once again, the Cardinals tonight, 10-3, a victory over the Royals. Do you have any final thoughts, Ethan, that you are looking to communicate or that you think needs to be discussed? A lot of folks really happy with this evening. And, I think Cardinal fans are finally getting excited about the team, I guess is the right word. I don't want to say they've bailed completely, but it's disappointing because fans have such high expectations of the organization when the season starts off as rough as it did. And clearly it's getting better and it's a turning point, and it's a roller coaster. It's a long season, ups and downs, but the Cardinals just were really struggling for so long. It's not a usual or comfortable, familiar place for Cardinal fans to be in. It's always been a very good, very well-respected, highly organized and talented organization. And we're seeing that now. That's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hope that it doesn't even have to be entirely a trust as to if you're bought in on this team in 2025, right? As far as, are they a World Series contender or even someone that could make a run into October? But rather the way that they're playing, it's fun and it's exciting. Like I said, you're in every game. I mean, it is an entertaining product right now, and I hope that the fan base can, I understand the frustration with the front office and the upper parts of the organization. Can we put that aside and recognize that the play is stretched out for several weeks now, that the quality of play is growing enough to where this team does on the field team deserves to be supported. They deserve to be backed. So I hope with them coming back, setting themselves up for another series win. Obviously, they have to do it. They have to win one of the next two. But that would be how many series wins in a row now? I think that would be 5 of 6 now, with the sixth being a series split against the Reds. So the team is doing right now what has been what the fan base expects, and that is winning games. I hope that the fans follow that or give some love to the team when they come back against the Detroit Tigers in that series at Busch Stadium. Regarding the comments in the chat regarding the starting rotation, I don't think you have to necessarily fill out spots right now as far as all 5 goes, but what you do need to do is you need to have an idea of how many spots you'll eventually need.
Okay, your options, 100%.
Right? And what we know right now is that there are going to be some guys that are not in this rotation next year. Steven Matz will not be brought back. Miles Michaelis will not be brought back. Eric Fetty I'd be shocked if he is back. So you're going to have Sonny Gray, and that you're going to have Andre Palante. Matthew Liberatore has arguably been one of the best things for this organization that has happened this year, because now you're not back in the same situation you were 2 off seasons ago, where you're like, okay, we need to sign 3 guys that are all going to be, or that are stopgap guys. 2 of the 3 were in Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. You're not back in that situation, right? So Matthew Liberatore getting added is huge. That you have guys that are just waiting and ready to go, like Michael McGreevy. We know he's banging on the door and he's shown great potential. And then as well as Quinn Matthews, we know is going to be here eventually at some point as well. So that's the part that excites me, is rather than like, okay, we're going to need to go to free agency for this number of guys, or we're going to need to trade for this number of guys, you have set 3 of the 5, right? That's more so how I look at this for right now. But what the Cardinals are doing is not only exciting me for what this season could be like, but also for the future. Because right now it's just as much as it is, the veterans like Contreras and Arenado that are contributing. The young guys on this team are doing just as much. That gets me excited for the future. So those are my final comments regarding the team tonight. And to add one final thing, I know obviously St. Louis went through a really tough thing today with Mother Nature in the severe weather, the tornado. Prayers to anyone that was affected. We are a city that is obviously built around our sports and is identified in our sports, but there is much more to this city than just that. So, we're gonna to the areas that were damaged. We're gonna link together to just to clean up those areas and hopefully rebuild as quickly as possible. But for anyone that was affected, my thoughts and prayers to you, and we appreciate you guys, all you listeners, all you viewers, being such great support and being as much we talk about it constantly all the time at Sports Hub STL. You guys are just as much a part of the show as Sarah and I are, so we appreciate all of you. Those are my final thoughts on this one, Sarah.
Well, 100%, Ethan. I'm glad you mentioned that because, sports is always a getaway from some things, and unfortunately this did happen as a somewhat surprise. I mean, severe weather was in the area, but the tornado that touched down, for Clayton, 270-40 area, all the way through St. Louis City, a lot of damage, unfortunately, lives lost. And all of our first responders and crews that are doing all they can right now to make sure that St. Louis is taken care of. And for those affected, we are thinking about you definitely, and here when you need us, and we're going to try and help take your minds off things if we can. But again, you are just as much a part of the show as anything, and we need you here too. So we appreciate everything, and we're definitely thinking of you and keeping you in our thoughts and prayers. So once again, the Cardinals tonight in a bright spot did take the win tonight over the Royals by a final score of 10-3. That is Ethan Hannaford. I'm Sara Dayley. We appreciate you joining us here on Sports Hub STL, and we'll see you right back here next time.